everybody. I'm Steph Hodge with BoardGameGeek here with Zev from WizKids. How you doing, Zev?
I'm fine. How are you, Steph?
Doing just great. I am so excited because we get to take a look at Seastead, and it's a game I've already played and I already adore it. So I can't wait for you to tell us all about it, Zev. So tell me, where did this come from? Where did this design trickle down from, and how did it come to be, if you know?
Well, actually, I saw a prototype of it at BGG Con last year, and it had a medieval theme to it. But I loved the design; it was fantastic. And I said, "Oh man, I'm going to do this game." And then when I brought it internally and we played it, we said, we want to start using some of the assets and resources that we had from other games. What can we do to expand different universes? And it just seemed like a perfect flotilla universe thing. And that's really how it came together. But it was originally medieval, and it turned into futuristic, apocalyptic water world thing.
Oh my goodness, I love that. And I love flotilla. So great, like bring those two together, the same artwork. I love the whole theme of flotilla and all of that. So it's really cool to see Seastead come to life in this world as well. It's a 2-player game only. And
two-player game only, yes. So I just want to stress that it's well, it's not 2-player flotilla, right? I don't want people to say, "Oh, look, hey, we got that 2-player." Yeah. It's 2-player set in the same world as flotilla.
Set in the same world.
So very different game, just set in the same world. But yep, 2 players. You can see the orange and blue player there. That's pretty much all the components that you have set up there. You could see the 4 flotillas on the table. That represents the board into which you're going to be placing buildings. There are specialist cards up on the top right there. Dock tiles on the top left. Decree cards are there in the middle. They're not brought into the game unless you use the advanced side of the flotillas. So normally you don't play with them. You see the player pieces on the left and right corners on the bottom, and you have resources in the middle and on the sides there. And then you see some cards in the middle there in the bottom of the screen, and those are your dive cards. So should I dive into the game or how to play? Is that what you want?
Yeah, let's just dive in. See, tell us like the mechanics, what we're doing.
Okay, so in this 2-player game, there are 2 actions that you can do. One of 2 actions on your turn. You're either going to dive or build. Dive, very simple. You're going to reveal a dive card, and you'll see resources on one half of the card, resources on the other half of the card. So this is what we call like I cut, you choose. So you choose one set of resources, your opponent is going to get the other set of resources. And that's sort of the theme around the game here. While it is competitive, many of the decisions you make can help your opponent. So you're trying to make decisions that will obviously help you better than it will help your opponent, but know that you will help your opponent with some of the decisions. And the dive card is the simplest one to show that. Again, you take one side, your opponent gets the other side, boom, your turn is over, that's diving. The other action you could do is build. Build is also very simple in that you're going to build one of your buildings and place it on a flotilla. Now, the thing is, you have 3 different types of buildings you can place. The first building you can place is a shipyard. A shipyard gets put on a flotilla, and it allows you to bring a ship into play. A ship, when placed on a flotilla at a location, will give a 1 resource discount to you or your opponent at that location. So again, that decision, right, where you place your building, where your ship can help your opponent a little bit. The next thing is the academy. When you place the academy, you get a specialist card. Specialist cards give you special abilities when you use it, and you flip it face down. Any specialist cards face up at the end of the game are worth a point. And they do many different things. So here's the broker. It says, take any 1 resource from the supply for each port you've built. You can't take more than 1 resource of each type this way. So that's a card you might save until later in the game, or if you acquire it later in the game, build your ports, and then boom, get up to 4 resources there. So that's a specialist. And then the last thing you can build is a port. A port is placed on the flotilla, and then you place a dock tile, which is those weird shaped, wedge shaped things on the top left. You place them, yep, you place them at a location. And if you notice, they have building icons there with victory points. Well, actually, we'll go to the first thing. Look at the color of the type of resource. First of all, that will score you at the end of the game the amount of resources you have, max 3. So this one is if you have 1, 2, or 3 artifacts left at the end of the game, and of course this is your dock tile, you will get 1, 2, or 3 points. But the other buildings listed there, what's interesting about them is they will score for you or your opponent depending on who builds those buildings on either side of the dock tile, 1 or 2 spaces away. So after the artifact thing, it's 1 space away, and then in the darker side, it's 2 spaces away. So if my opponent builds a shipyard to the left or to the right of that dock tile, they'll score 2 victory points. Now, of course, you could do it as well, but you've opened up the opportunity for your opponent to do that. So again, that's where you're helping your opponent. Now, to build on a dock tile, this is where the resources become important. If you notice, each flotilla has a resource counter on it. That's how many resources you need. I'm sorry, that's the type of resources you need to build on the flotilla, and the number on the location is how many of those you need. So you see they start with 2 resources on a flotilla all the way to 6 on a flotilla, and 2 is doubled up. So it's 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When you build a building, you spend that many resources that you wish, place the building you wish on the location, and each location has an effect that you can do, and usually it's grab another resource. It could say use the location of another flotilla in which you have a building. It could also get cleanup tokens, which you could see in a pile underneath the specialist tokens. Those are worth 1 VP at the end of the game. So you can see the various things you do. You're collecting resources and trying to build by spending those resources at the appropriate tiles. Now, flotilla tiles. Now, as I said, you can build any building you want. You build from left to right from your board. And those, by the way, are dual layer boards. But when you complete a row or a column, you also get a special ability. If you build a set of shipyard, port, and academy, you're going to be able to exchange any 2 flotilla tiles that are not locked. And if you notice, the bottom of that board tells you could swap any 2, they call them demand tokens on the flotilla tiles. You can swap any 2 that aren't locked, and then you lock one of them. So actually in the beginning of the game, one of those flotillas will be locked, and you can't move that one, but you move any 2 others, lock one, and then unlock the previous one. The row bonuses, if you play all your shipyards, you can move your ships anywhere. If you play all your academies, you can unflip one of your specialists. And if you place all your ports, you can actually score one of your dock tiles based on a resource that it represents, and you get those points up to 3 in the cleanup tokens. And that's a gist of the game. So you play alternate turns, 1 at a time, dive, build, 1 at a time. You take turns until the game end is triggered, and it's triggered by either the cleanup token pile gone, all the locations of 1 flotilla have been built on, or 1 player has 1 building left on their thing. Then you finish out the round and take 1 more turn. Oh, and then it's over. The other way is, I forgot, it's the one of the depths cards. When you reach like the last set of the really deep cards, that also triggers the end of the game. Because you start with a shallow card that tells you who goes first. If you can notice that first card there, it actually tells you which player goes first, which would be orange, and they would get those resources. And also it tells you which tile to lock. So there are 4 of those. They get shuffled randomly. You choose one, and that's the starting card for the game. And then you could dive with the next card. So you have the shallows, and then you have the shoals, I think, and then the depths cards. So you can see that shows you the orange, and the orange player would get the kelp and the fish, and the other player would get the metal and the artifact, and then you would lock the metal resource, the man token, on the flotilla. Yes. So that's pretty much that in a nutshell. There is a solo mode you can play. And I did mention the advanced stuff. So when you flip the flotilla isles over, there's a B side, and you can use them, and they bring in the decree cards. The decree cards are basically like a world enchantment. They break the rules, and they're for everybody. And you can bring more into play based on the location. You could do it like you could see on the 4 up there. I believe I think you could draw another decree card and get 2 cards there. The back of the rule book gives you the icon. Yeah, the back of the rule book gives you all the icon breakdowns of each location. And then when you score, you're going to score based on the amount of stars on your locations. So all your locations, your face-up specialist, your resources based on your dock tiles, your cleanup tokens, and then all the buildings that are impacted by the dock tiles that you have. And we have a neat little score pad there on the top left to help you out. And I figure the game lasts, I mean, you've played it many times. It usually lasts about 30 minutes. Like 20 to 30 minutes. I say good 30 minutes is for the game. And yeah.
Yeah, a lot of juicy decisions. I don't know if we want to play a couple turns to show a little bit of how it goes, or we can just keep talking about it because I got stuff to say. It's up to you.
Go for it. Why don't you go for it? You know how to play. You could do it. Or you want me to play you? How about that?
I don't know. It's whatever Lincoln is up for. If you're up for a few turns, Lincoln, we have a little bit of time. You got thumbs up. All right, cool. So
why don't you go first? You're orange. You go first.
I'm orange. Okay. I could. So I believe the kelp location says 2 resources, but it's a 1 discount if I place that type of building there. So
yes. So in in that one particular, kelp. Only the port. Right, only the port would get the 1 point discount because of that icon. Everything else would cost 2, correct. And if there was a ship there, it does stack. If you had a ship and built a port, it would cost you 0 to get on that location.
Seems like a good deal for me. So I will go right ahead and spend my 1 kelp in order to put down the port. Little.
Very nice.
Yeah, and so you grab that building.
Orange.
The orange port building.
The bottom one, the bottom left. Okay, well, you can start from that as long as you're consistent and start from the same side. But usually it's from the left to the right. But it probably doesn't matter as long as you're consistent. Yep, and you place it in the kelp. And it goes right in
that bottom space. Yeah, perfect, right there.
So now you also get the ability listed there, right? So you get the location ability, and I believe that's 1 resource that's not on the demand token, so anything but kelp.
So I would go with fish because I already have a fish. It'd be good to stack up on some of the same resources.
Yep.
And maybe I can do something later.
And because you built a port tile, you get to place a dock tile. So
of
the 3 face up, you get to choose that.
Right now, I don't have much to go off of because I don't have any other buildings, but normally I would look for other buildings and make sure Zev doesn't get any points. But right now, it's the first turn of the game. So any of those 3 that are available would be great. And then I can work towards building them later.
That's right.
And it just goes below my building.
Yeah, you want to see what they are also to keep that in mind. So what is there? So we know there's zoomed in there. Yes, thank you. So it looks like if you place an academy on either side of that dock tile, it'll score 2 victory points. And anybody who puts a shipyard 2 spaces away from that will gain 1 victory point. Thank you.
Yeah. So now we have something to shoot for and maybe get those extra bonus points later.
Exactly. But you also note, I don't have any kelp, so I can't even benefit from that right now. And you don't have any kelp, so it would be a race to get that. So I'm going to dive as my action. So I'm going to flip a card.
Yes.
Yep. And let's see what it is. Oh, so that one is the same. I wonder if that's I don't know if that's supposed to be an early card. I don't know if that's an early card.
I don't think it is, but
I don't think that's an early card. Sorry. They were like 3 different backs to them.
That works.
Yeah. So get rid of those. That one's gone. Yeah, because that's a shallow. We only needed the first one there. Sorry. So there should be 3 more like that, or 3 altogether. So you don't want those. Yeah, nothing with the arrows. Anything with the arrows are gone because we have 1 in play. And I think anything, there's like 4 or 5 cards with the all wild stuff. Perfect. That's a great one. Great one. So my choice is take any 1 resource or 2 metal, and whatever I don't choose, you get. Well, I'm scared about that kelp there, so I'm going to take a kelp, giving you the 2 metal, which could hurt me as well. I don't know, but maybe I want to try to build towards that kelp port thing, the kelp doctile.
And I would have definitely taken kelp had you let me take a wild resource. So
that's what I was thinking. But having 2 metal is not bad because you can build onto the metal, the flotilla with the demand token for metal. So that's my and that's it. I'm done. That's my action. That's my dive action. So now you get to dive or build.
Oh, yes. And that, you know what, I'm going to do something very similar to what I did last time, but I'll do it on the iron board or metal board instead, and just spend 1 metal in order to put a building right at that lower location. I think it's a port again. I'm not sure.
I can't tell from here. Looks, is that an academy? I think. That's an academy, right?
Okay, I can go to the fish location. Yeah, I would build. Spend 1 fish in order to do that. I was just talking about the other one, but yeah, instead of cool. So I'll go to the fish board and I will put down an academy, and then I can get a specialist for this. And,
exactly. So now you have a choice of one of those 3 face up.
Okay, so let's see. We have a guy, the broker, who did something special immediately when you died.
No, the broker was get a resource for every port you've built, and you started with 1, so you can get 1 resource, but you're probably gonna, if you get that card, you're probably gonna wait until you build a few more ports later in the game. The agent is when your opponent would swap demand tokens, you get to perform the swap, or you could prevent the swap. So this is good if I'm going, if you think I'm going to mess up what you have based on your resource supply. And then the architect there is, before you take a build action, move 1 of your built academies or shipyards to an available location with an equal or lower cost on any flotilla. You don't resolve the thing, but it frees up a space that you may want to occupy later, or block me from taking a particular space as well.
These are all really powerful, but I think I'll go with the broker because having extra resources could be really great, especially if I'm like 1 short of something that will help me get that extra resource to get that like 6th spot or something. So that could be really useful in a later game. And then
well, remember, you can only get 1 resource of any type. I'm sorry, you can't get the same type. So it's 1. The most you can get is 4 resources, 1 of each. So it'll give you more choices, but it wouldn't immediately impact you to say, oh, I'm going to get 4 kelp and build on there. So just letting you know that's what it does.
Gotcha. Having more resources is always good, though.
Absolutely. And then you immediately fill the specialist slot. So there's always 3 available. And that's your turn. The investor, what's that? If your opponent completes a dive action, if they have 6 or more resources in their reserves, they take, you get any 2 resources from the supply. So a little comeback kind of thing there. Cool. Thank you. So my turn, I have 1 kelp, 1 artifact, 1 metal. You know what? I'm going to take another dive action. I want to try to get some more resources. So let's flip another card. Yeah, let's see what happens.
I like this. This is great for me because if I don't have to dive, it's all the better.
Yeah. Ooh. So this is 2 artifact or 1 each of the other 3 resources. You know what? I have 1 artifact already. I'm going to take the 2 artifacts so that I can have 3, giving me the option to build a lot on that flotilla tile. But you're going to get a fish, a metal, and a kelp.
That works perfectly for me.
Yeah. So you can see very simple turns, but the strategy and the depth really grows and is there. I mean, there's really a lot of thinking involved in what to do.
Yeah, and as soon as I build my first Shipyard. I was trying to look at the name. Shipyard. I immediately clear that column, so I would unlock. Well, the iron is supposed to be locked, but I would unlock that and swap two things. So maybe I'm collecting fish, and then I want to switch the kelp and the fish and make that board a little bit more juicy for me now. And so there's this whole timing element that's really great because you have a lot of control and not so much control if somebody else is trying to like mess you up. If they see you're going for a lot of iron, well, they're going to try and swap it out on you, so you can't get those locations that you want. And so there's like a lot of really cool timing elements in this game that work really, really well.
Thank you. Yeah, totally. And again, and built within a mechanism of very easy things that you need to do, meaning again, dive, flip a card, but still tough decisions, or as you said, the build, right? What to build, where to build, what resources to spend, where on the flotilla to do it. So very important. Just to let people know, when you bring a ship into play, it goes on any flotilla tile, but on the cheapest location in which there is no other ship or building. And then when you have to move it, the same thing, it can move to any flotilla tile, but again, the cheapest location where there's no building or other ship present.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we got a pretty good feel for this game. We have a few minutes, Zev, so do you want to tell everybody where they can get this and Flotilla and all your other titles, and you have any other information or news for us?
You should. Well, Seastead just came out this Wednesday, 2 days ago. It should be available at your friendly local store or wherever you normally shop. And if for some reason there's any difficulty in getting it, you can eventually get it on our website, shop.whizkids.com. But again, we encourage you to shop at your local store where possible.
Yeah, so if you're in the market for 2-player games, I would highly recommend this one. I've had a great time with this, and also Flotilla, which is 3 or more players. So if you have more players than 2, you can check out Flotilla too.
Yes. Thank you so much.
So yeah, I think we're good, unless you have any other special like news that you want to drip in.
No, that's okay. I'll let Seastead stay on its own. But yes, if you like the universe, do Flotilla. Nice big Euro game with a great twist to it, but it is 3 to 5 players, heavier Euro type game, but there's some really neat mechanics in there.
Yeah, great universe you're creating. I can't wait to see what else you got going on in this universe. As always, you're amazing, Zev. I love talking with you. You always know everything so much, so well. So always a pleasure having you on.
Same here,
and Z-Man.
Thank you.
Have a great digital SPIEL.digital.
I will.